What happens if you mix Jurassic Park, the island of Dr. Moreau, and two guys drinking beer? Find out next.
Yeah! Yep, amazing. Okay, welcome back. So, as you know, we found our feature of beer. So let's movie. We're just gonna keep on going. It's been seconds since we last saw each other, but it's a week since you last saw us. So some quick things. Follow us, Instagram. We got sneak peeks there of upcoming episodes. Untapped. If you're not following Beer Me That Movie over there and you want to get on the show with your check-in, that's the easiest way to do it. Drink some beer and find us over on Untapped. Maybe we'll show up in the Fast Five. YouTube, lots of shorts. What am I forgetting, John?
Spotify, if you
Yes.
like to just listen to your podcast, you can answer questions and polls that we put up about the episodes. So that does make Spotify my favorite. And if you're already subscribed, thank you. You're a great person. But if you haven't left a review yet, you could be a better person.
Who doesn't want to be better? Everybody.
True.
No pressure. Okay.
Easiest thing you can do to better yourself today. Let's be honest. None of us are putting that laundry away.
That's right. It's just going to stay on the bed till you put it on. And then it'll be right back onto the floor.
Exactly. Why do we even have closets?
Right, it's a big waste of space.
Yeah.
No closets. No closets. All right, that's not for tonight.
Different show. Different show.
What a horrible future that would be. Just everyone walking around in wrinkled shirts.
Where do I put my old boxes of things I don't own anymore?
Right, exactly right. I have stuff to hide. What shelf can I put it on? I don't have the top of the closet anymore. Okay. All right. So we picked our movie, Melvin Brewing, Killer Bees.
Yeah, which is actually listed on Untapped as a honey beer.
Love that. That makes sense.
I don't know how that's different than a mead, but I'm here to find out. I wish I could try one.
Maybe we will. Sure, we will someday. Maybe someone send us this one if you have it, or whatever. Tell us about it.
Yeah.
I think we should read the chicken.
Legally through the mail in a 12-ounce can.
Right.
Yeah.
So we said nothing about it last episode. So we're sitting here in the dark with just killer bees staring at us as the movie we got to make. I've got some thoughts.
Thank God. I mean, all I think of is a movie where killer bees are killing everyone, and it's not much different than every other like plague movie.
Yeah.
So I want to hear your thoughts. I have some questions, but I want to hear your thoughts first, and then maybe we'll round it out with some questions before we start to shape this thing into. I mean, it's a ball of clay right now with a picture of a killer bee next to it.
There's killer bees, tons of them.
True, it's not just one. Bees were pluralized.
More than have ever been seen anywhere before. So I'm now finding myself wishing I knew a little bit more about killer bees. If you love bees, forgive us because we're going to blend honeybees, bumblebees, killer bees.
We're writing a movie here, so knowledge about the subject matter is entirely optional.
That's an intern's
In fact,
job.
it's a detriment if you have it.
That's someone's job, and that someone doesn't exist.
Yeah,
so,
this isn't an Andy Weir book. This is not a documentary. This is a Hollywood film.
We do whatever we want here.
About killer bees.
The science is made after the movie.
Exactly.
So we're going to rewrite some books right
bees
now.
are not naturally 3 feet. Well, look, there was a science experiment gone wrong.
How do you
know? We've all seen Sharks on a Plane and that other movie about sharks and killer whales, Free Willy.
Sharks on a plane.
Yeah, snakes on a plane.
I would love to see sharks on a plane. The bathroom's flooded. Oh, what's the worst that could happen? Where's the shark that was in my bag? Woo! I would love to see that. Okay, so we may make something very close to it tonight. So what I'm seeing, I do see that this is we'll call it a monster movie now. And maybe that means something to somebody out there. It means something to me, but you kind of can see the stereotype or whatever you want to call it, the archetype, the skeleton of this. I do think we're going to have fun with it in our own magical Jon and Harrison way. But this is absolutely a movie starring killer bees. No metaphor here. Killer bees are killer bees. We're going to be scared of them in this movie, even if that's, again, not scientifically what we should be. Don't care. Ooh. Not important right now. But so I don't have the movie yet, but I have our star. And I think she is a botanist. So she is all about flowers and, let's say, works at a university, has a grant, and to study how sunflowers and wildflowers, whatever, can be used as fuel. Or if you plant one, it brings the town that it's in. If you have 5 acres of wildflowers, the town consumes emits less CO2. Whatever. There's something she's doing.
She's doing research for the betterment of humanity.
Right, but it's not flowers. She's not a bee scientist. We're not going on the nose here. We're gonna sneak up behind and take them out.
Flower like scientist.
Assassin's Creed. And we'll find this out later. I guess I can share it now because we're all friends here. She's deathly allergic to bees.
Okay.
So being a flower scientist, obviously a little scary there because she's gonna be around bees all the time. They're pollinating these flowers and stuff. She wears protection. She has an EpiPen, Benadryl, all that stuff. She loves flowers. She's not going to not chase her dream just because of some pesky little bee. She's taking precautions. This is her calling, but she's deathly allergic to bees. And maybe that's the kind of first scene of the movie is, all right, good. Yes. The first scene of the movie is good. The first scene of the movie, though, is her in the field and, you know, and doing the flower stuff, talking to other scientists, so we get the same backstory I just shared with you all, what they're doing in the research and stuff, and then we hear a bee that she maybe doesn't notice because she's engrossed in some flower. Maybe it gets inside her thing, and everyone's like, oh man, that would, not knowing she's allergic, just that would suck to get stung by a bee. I think we can all agree on that. And she feels something, kind of reaches for it, and the bee falls out of her outfit dead. And she kind of looks down to the ground, dead bees everywhere, and she hasn't noticed yet. So these pollinators, obviously we need bees to live. So again, don't come at me with your killer bees, honeybees, bumblebee crap. Just I'll learn it later.
All bees are the same right now.
Maybe it's a mutated bee that some dumb, stupid person made that was supposed to withstand whatever fungus is killing them all. It didn't. The fungus mutated and now it can kill every bee ever. That's maybe not important. Or mutated bees probably should be important. Let's table that for a minute, though. The scene I
sort
want
of
to get
science
out,
gone wrong, sort of maybe origin story to the bee.
Yeah, the scene I want to get out, though, that sets up the whole movie is that, like, clearly there's a crisis in bee colonies that immediately impacts flowers. All of our, I think it was Einstein that said, you know, something to the effect of, you know, if bees die, then humanity dies a month later or whatever. Something like that. We obviously need them. They're super important. So that's how kind of the scene starts. And my thought, I want to hear what you're thinking, of course, John, but the kind of the genesis of the story is she's like not a bee expert, but a flower expert. So she's brought along with a bee expert and whatever other expert, we can hash this out in a minute, to some faraway place. She has to fly there to get these genetically engineered bees and fly them back to start colonizing them, propagating them, whatever you want to call it, to save the world. So that's all I have right now. I can, you know, after that we can figure it out. But what are you thinking? What are your thoughts? What you got excited a second ago? What happened then?
Yeah. So I like. We've got a direction with this movie.
Yeah.
Still pretty bare bones, but we've got to do, like, initially I was like, is this a family in Florida and bees are attacking Florida? But
will this be bees on a plane?
But no. We've got our protagonist, female scientist, botanist. Her name is Iris.
Ooh,
Iris. A little on the nose, but kind of fun.
I like that.
And her compatriot, the bee scientist, his name is Ray.
Right.
Like a ray of sunshine. We're just being really campy with these.
Fun.
There's probably one other scientist guy, a little bit more
older.
nerdy.
Their head professor, who's kind of, you know, what's it called?
A mentor?
Yes, the mentor to both of them.
I don't know what his William Harrison would be a decent name.
William Harrison, that's great.
William Harrison.
And let's say here we go. Let's say he specializes in genetic engineering.
Yep.
That's why they called him.
Yep.
because him and his two students are
so
perfectly fit for this problem.
In the world, the bees have been I think it was called phylloxera, where a lot of grapevines died.
Yep.
Or something like that. But so bees have started to fall victim of this disease, and we're losing our bees. So we're trying to find some of the surviving bees, maybe engineer them. Iris and her team go over there. So my first excited thought was that, because you mentioned she's deathly allergic to bees, but she got into this field, so she's just really precautious.
Yes.
And they're over there, and Ray is like, "Oh man, I can't believe you're doing this with a bee. If I was allergic to bees, I don't know what I would do." So they're over there, and they're in this field, and they're trying to capture bees so they can bring them back for studying. William Harrison is like told them the best way to do it and to look for females because they're easier to clone and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, Ray starts choking. Like his face is getting red.
Okay.
And he's like, I don't know what's happening. And then you see that he's been stung twice. And Professor Harrison is like, he's allergic. Obviously, he's allergic. And she's like, I didn't think he was allergic. So she grabs her EpiPen. She stabs him and saves him. This is just like a little foreshadowing that maybe these killer bees, everyone's allergic to them. And that's the killer part. That's like there's something about these bees that have survived where Ray all of a sudden was allergic. And it doesn't, that's all you see is that maybe he's allergic to these bees, or maybe he developed an allergy. But as we, and she EpiPens him and he recovers and he's like, I haven't been tested in a while. I thought I was fine. Just got stung like a couple of weeks ago. I thought I was fine. But, let's get these bees and put them in the ET containment vessel. And they've got, you'd like to think that they have this sort of like X-Men private plane that they're going to fly back to their university in California.
Exactly.
But no, they're working on a grant. They're flying coach, like maybe business class. And they're coming back from, where are they right now? Are they in France doing this?
So let's say
Holland.
Let's say they start in the United States, and California is fine. And to get to these, and so I think we should have kind of the beginning of this movie, just to add some bullets to what you just said. Like, we have that incident in the field, the bees are dead, and then kind of a little bit of a freak out happens, but like the professor, William Harrison, just like sees it, and like you can kind of see in his face, like he's alarmed, but also like kind of, it's like, I have to make a phone call, and like shoots into his office, calls his buddy in, sure, let's say Holland, that's cool. And is like, I don't want everybody to panic, but do you all have your passports? Like, makes a couple calls to the State Department, to the Pentagon, to whatever. It's happened. It's finally happened. Yes, this is the tipping point. It's happened today. And like, so calls a couple people. I hope you guys have your passports. They get on the plane to Holland. And I think that is where this incident can happen with Ray, is like they get there to and on the flight, they're in the airport. The news is all, today planes were grounded in Ohio and Illinois as thousands of bees fell out of the sky, blackening this, whatever. Like, it's causing problems. It's national news. It's not just in California. And that was, so like maybe Iris is hesitant to like go on this journey. I'm just a flower scientist. I just like digging up stuff in the ground. I'm not
I just
the
do
person.
botany.
And and William Harrison does this speech that we can all almost hear of, like, bees and flowers, they don't exist without each other. You're just as important as Ray here, blah, blah, blah.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
Right.
You're the flower, he's the bee.
Remember that. Big foreshadowing there. So she kind of has to be convinced to come along with this, because obviously she's scared, and we have that scene of her quickly packing and throwing like 5 EpiPens in her bag, kissing her dog goodbye, and then who someone will feed, we hope. We never know in these movies. People leave for a trip, say bye to a pet, shut the door. What happens to the pet? We don't know, but we assume someone's taking care of them. But so they get in.
Yeah, actually, the sweet neighbor family, an old retired couple. The husband is a Vietnam veteran, and the mom used to be a college professor. They always take care of Iris's pets. They know Iris. They love her. She lives there on her own.
I see this. Love that. Love this. All right. Okay. So, yeah. And he, that neighbor, the Vietnam vet, always sharing stories about when we were in Vietnam, there were bees the size of crows there. Oh, Charles, calm down with your stories. You watch out there, Iris. Watch out for those bees. As she's leaving, we'll take care of Fido, whatever the. Okay, so anyway, so we kind of learn it's a big world event, certainly impacting the U.S., but as they're in the plane flying to Holland, William Harrison kind of divulges the backstory of like, you know, I have friends who've been worried about this for years in Europe. They've been trying to create a bee that would be resistant to this new fungus that seems to be killing them all. And, you know, he gets eye rolls from both Ray and Iris. I know, dangerous to play God, but what's more dangerous, to do nothing and watch the world starve? You know,
like
keeps
William
falling
Harrison.
back on this. Well, sure, we all do.
Well, we should at this point. I
It's
think
absolutely right.
I think
It's
I have an idea
absolutely right,
of
John.
this nefarious fellow.
This William Harrison guy got a shady name. So everyone's on board on the same page by the time they get there. And I think like they're in the school lab in Holland, and that's when this incident happens, when Ray kind of goes in, maybe does a little bit of a cowboy move, like all the scientists there are wearing the suits and stuff, and he's like, guys, I grew up on bee farms. I'm a 5th generation bee farmer. Let me just go in there. I don't need the suit. I want to hear them. I need to hear them. I can hear how they're sounding. I can tell if this hive is going to make the flight. Like, we can't, and maybe that's why I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Maybe that's why they aren't bringing 1 million back to start or whatever, is because they like need to kind of start something small, make sure they don't all die, you know, make sure some other problem doesn't happen.
And like Ray is Matthew McConaughey, maybe. He is the bee scientist, right? He goes about it in a bit of a atypical way. Like he's a little
Indiana Jones
lone
bee
wolf.
Scientist, right?
But this guy, if you gave him 2 bees of any gender, he could repopulate the earth.
That's right. That's all he needs. Just a little bit of honey, a little bit of music, a little bit of time. Tequila for me, none
James
for
Brown.
thee. That's right. He's just hanging out with these bees. Okay, I love this. Love that Matthew McConaughey is Ray. This is hilarious. Oh my gosh. So, okay, cool. So that gets us up to kind of to where you were. So like so he gets stung. He's having an allergic reaction. Everyone's like, what did you expect? He went in there and he's like, this never happens. Get me out. He gets out. They hose him down with the smoke, so none of them escape this little kind of glass room they're keeping the bees in for whatever reason. Because they're genetic engineered, they can't just fly away from the hive.
True.
They need to be
We're
kind
still
of
studying
contained.
these.
Right. Okay. So that happens. EpiPen happens, and she's like, while we're here in the lab, I want to run some blood work. And she takes some blood, gives it to their scientists. It may take a little bit of time. Like, we'll call you on the flight once we know more, because they got to keep moving. They got a world to save. Time is money, and the bees are dying. We got to kind of get step 1 of
We're
this
gonna
plan in motion.
this is nitpicky, but our goal is to bring these bees back to their lab in the U.S. at University of Southern California or wherever. And the goal, like, these people, Iris and Ray and William Harrison, have been picked to do this job because they're not progressing fast enough in Holland where they are. That William Harrison wants to bring it back to the States so that they can do some of their own further experiments. Maybe the fungus is different over there.
Right.
But
I think maybe they brought a sample of it with them to kind of like test on some bees, and they didn't die right away, so things look promising. Let's have that happen. They kind of inject three with it, and they fall down, and they're like, oh God, no. And then they get up and they start flying around again. Everything seems fine. So they're like, all right, great first test. Let's keep those 3 bees though away from the rest in their own little container. Just in case.
Study them separately,
Being
right? Like
scientists,
maybe there's
right.
an after effect with the fungus.
Exactly right, an after effect.
Yeah.
A symbiotic after effect. Bee steroids. No, hold on. Let's not get there yet. But
These bees are jacked.
they're
and they're
asexual.
pissed.
They're reproducing by themselves, and they're the size of a house. Anyway. Okay, hold on. We're not there yet. This movie's coming fast now, like a swarm of bees in my mind. The ideas. Oh my God. Okay.
Luckily, Thomas from My Girl got out when he did.
Right. Yep, he's gone. Doesn't have to watch this hellscape that's about to unfold on the world. So I'm thinking, and stop me if I'm wrong here, John, but I'm thinking like not the whole movie, but a majority of this movie is going to happen on the plane. It can't really be everything. I'm not really imagining like everyone melting on the plane and it being horrible, because then they would just kill all the bees. Like the plane can be dramatic, but really like maybe what the bad news about what this fungus does to the bees or whatever doesn't get there. It doesn't really show up until the end of the flight, but some things happen on it. And we got to kind of flesh that out right now.
Okay, so I like I like where you're going, and I just want to insert this here that when they're bringing the bees back, they probably have like their little sequestered, glass box of bees that they're bringing back, and they're forced to put that under the plane in the luggage, which gets checked down there.
100%.
There's other people that have been traveling. There might be some little insert shot where you get an idea that some of the fungus is on the luggage and these bees are going to get exposed to it that are down there anyway. Maybe not. But also, Iris is like, I want to study these things on the flight. I'm going to keep, she's got this little aquarium thing. She's like, I'm going to keep 2 or 3 of them with me on the flight.
She'll keep one that had the fungus and one that didn't in separate glass like vials that she has like in her pocket right now. I just had some thoughts. That was a great setup, John. So so they're on the flight. And so this is a little bit like the bus scene from Banana Wheel, but very different. But but some of the people on this flight are going to be important, so we'll kind of maybe be calling them out shortly.
Is there a sexy nun?
They're in the way back. There's always a sexy nun somewhere. Just watching and waiting for a time. Or is she there? There's no one in that seat next to you, sir. She said she wanted a Coca-Cola. It must be in the bathroom. Okay. So, and the bees are in the luggage in the bottom, which is also where the flight attendants kind of have the food, go up and down an elevator. Imagine like Air Force One. We got an elevator in there. We're going to big plane, international flight.
Holy cow, yeah.
Nonstop from Holland to Los Angeles. So we're on the plane and Iris is fine. Dr. Harrison's okay. Ray, coughing a little bit, a little sweaty. Nothing big. Just hate. I was coughing. Allergies when I travel.
Hate flights.
Hate flying. Don't worry about it. It's all your flowers.
Air
Iris.
pressure.
Just messing with my nose. Ha ha ha.
Can I get another Bloody Mary?
Keep them coming. Right. Exactly. So he's coughing a little bit. And Iris kind of takes notice, but then gets pulled into a story from Dr. Harrison about who knows what, some whimsical tale, maybe about how he first met those scientists years ago when he was her age and they had all these goals and dreams and he left to pursue academia but always kept in touch and glad he did and yada yada. Glad that she's there. His favorite student makes her feel good, sure. And you feel like this Dr. Harrison guy's really top-notch human. Meanwhile, so now here's where things. So plane takes off. Maybe we've got on the plane. Let's throw some plane passengers out there so we can bounce around off them as things go crazy.
Definitely got a new couple. Oh, sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go.
Brand new couple. Okay. They're on they're Dutch.
Oh, okay,
they're going to the United States. They're going to go to Los Angeles.
Love
they're
it.
huge Hollywood fans.
Love it. Perfect.
They're going over there on their honeymoon.
Yes, funny accents or normal accents.
Yes, I would love to see the Hollywoods.
Is this where Cuba Gooding Jr. lives? You could right. They got a star map already somehow. They're checking off who they want to see. So excited. Beautiful, young, happy people. That's great. They're sitting there. We've got a deli owner from New York. Sweaty. He's got just a wife beater on with a leather jacket over that.
Malone, I told you. Right. No brajol. He's on his cell phone like he's talking to someone.
Right. Yep, exactly. He's there kind of disgruntled, maybe drunk, maybe a little hungover, definitely making a lot of noise, bumping people down as he goes through the aisles, which makes everyone a little disgruntled with him. So that. Who else? Maybe we do have so obviously the flight attendants, they're always important in these movies and they all seem, on the up and up and like they're gonna be useful to
Like
stand up when shit
an
goes
institution,
south.
kind
Right.
of like, yeah.
So that they're there. Let me see. We got to get someone else. Maybe here we go. Like a journalist who recognizes them. You're that Dr. Harrison, aren't you? Are you here about the bees? What's going on?
Could it be? Does it have to be a journalist, or could it be like an Instagram influencer? Even
Perfect.
worse than a journalist.
Even worse than a journalist. So exactly right. Some Instagram.
They're like they're introed because they're like videoing something like, I can't believe it's 2024 and we still have people wearing masks on a plane.
That's right. Yeah, and it's right. It's Newsy McNewsface is her handle or whatever, and she's horrible, like totally misrepresented some bridge collapse that happened. Or some horrible tragedy happened that she covered improperly.
I can't even upload my bikini pictures from my beach trip with this crappy Wi-Fi.
Right. So shallow person, but on this flight, and recognizes him. Starts to question him, and then Iris pops up and is like, "Aren't you that girl who did that like interviewed those people after their families drowned in that horrible ferry accident? Like, get out of here. We're not going to talk to you." So she gets kind of shuttled to the back by the astute flight attendants. So all right, cool. So, and then a bunch of other cast of characters that we'll hash out later, maybe. But those are some important ones we can bounce around with. So plane takes off. Ray's coughing a bit. Iris is whatever, just kind of in the moment. Dr. Harrison's pensive, and we zoom down into like the cargo area, and we see the kind of the glass case with now 2 of those bees that were impacted with the fungus, and then all the other bees that are in like another glass case because that's easy to look into for movie reasons. And like maybe all the bees in the one case are kind of going crazy. Zzz, looks like they're kind of moving around randomly, and the 2 other bees are kind of moving in sync in their case that have been exposed to the fungus, and then they kind of slowly turn to the other 2 bees in separate cases and start moving up and down, and all the other bees that start moving in the same rhythm as them for some reason. I don't know what that means, but they've turned and somehow influenced the rest of the
shown
pack.
us that these 2 exposed bees can sort of control,
right.
influence.
Something's changed in them where they're more aware. Maybe their brain is bigger. That doesn't matter, and we'll never know it. It's just enough to be like, shit. Something happened.
And there could, like, as this is happening, we could be hearing Professor William Harrison talk about how, like, bees are some of the most advanced communicators in the insect world. They have the ability, they can detect predators, and they can alert the whole hive can respond.
Just the single change of the pitch of their hum.
They actually use their wings to cool down the hive when it's too hot out.
Right. All these fun little tidbits that someone will research and we'll share in this movie. Oh, this is amazing. So, okay. So yeah, stuff's going on down there with these bees that are probably smarter than they were a little while ago with that fungus. And remember, we're waiting for the lab reports, but we're about to take off. So she's kind of Iris is checking her phone. Oh man, still haven't heard anything from them. Well, I guess I got to turn it off, and we'll find it when we land. But we can. How are you feeling, Ray? Oh, I'm fine. I'm just gonna close my eyes for a little bit. Those bloody berries are starting to hit me. He passes out for a bit. So smooth sailing for a while. Now, here's kind of what I'm imagining, John, is it's overnight flight, quiet. People are sleeping. The lights are dimmed. The flight attendants are walking around doing their thing, getting a water here, throwing out a thing there. Iris is trying to sleep too, but tossing and turning a little bit. And maybe it's one of those scenes that they're common in movies where it's like, her dream is like what's happening beneath the plane. Tell me if we're jumping the shark here, but I'm imagining something like the kind of 2 smart bees either like start moving in a way and then like stop and kind of communicate to the other bees, like basically how to open this case, or they go to like their case and like somehow fit a little bee leg or they Man, what they would have to do, they got to get out of these cases.
I like I like where you're going with this,
right.
and I think so earlier we demonstrated that the exposed bees can communicate with the hive, we'll call them.
Perfect.
And they can influence, like when the exposed bees go to the bottom, the hive goes to the bottom. We've seen that sort of transpire. We've gone back, and now we're looking back down underground, and we see the exposed bees sitting at the bottom, and then individually just flying right up to the top of their little cave, one at a time. Boom, boom, boom. And then eventually you see the larger swarm of bees all group down at the bottom and fly up towards the top, and you see the top of it just give just a little bit.
Yep. No, this is it. You're absolutely right. They're the two little bees are instructing the other ones to fly up hard, hit the top of their thing, and eventually collectively hit it hard enough to like knock it off its stand, and it breaks on the floor, and they swarm kind of around the other two's container now, and then kind of just knock it off.
Yeah, they all start going to town on it.
Like, and then that also shatters or opens the door. So now all the bees are out, the two smart bees and the hive. That's basically just a hive mind now of the two other bees. And how about this? She's tossing and turning, and like what wakes her up is like the bees in her pocket and the vials are going crazy up and down, and she pulls them out and she's like, Professor, what's going on? And he's like, comes out of his sleep and is like, oh, I don't know. And then he's like, do you hear that? And just kind of and then you cut to the flight attendant, getting the corn on the cob or whatever, the cordon blues ready for everybody.
Corn on the cob, in-flight meal.
That's right. Wet corn for
everyone. Will be provided when you land.
Deal with it. They getting the meals ready, opens up the dumbwaiter, and like the bees shoot out into now the main part of the plane. Now I don't know what happens other than, so we have a decision to make. Do all the bees like start stinging everybody, or do they like not? Do they like kind of swarm around and then like kind of go to certain people for some reason we haven't identified yet? We need to kind of think about this, like, and maybe, perhaps like, maybe we need to think about the end a little bit to see what we want to do now. What we want to suggest these bees are actually up to. But I think it can't be as obvious as they swarm the plane and everyone gets stung. I think something unique should happen with these now smart bees.
Well, I think so. Officially, I think you have to have a queen to be able to procreate. So somewhere we need to redact and like have a queen be transported with us.
That could be injected was the queen. They can't fly. They can fly.
The queens can. These queens can fly.
These queens can fly.
I'm pretty sure they can.
It's a great album.
They don't fly all the time, but they have their
bigger
lemmings do
wings.
the work for them.
I get what you're saying.
So the queen,
good.
And their goal is they're killer, but their goal is to procreate, and they're so good at this that they can do it better than regular bees. They're engineered to survive and procreate. So I think maybe not the whole swarm of bees comes up, but the couple from Holland, Holland tulips, they have like some flowers with them, maybe a corsage or something.
So they send some scouts up.
A couple of bees come up.
Good.
And the flight attendant's like, oh my God, there's a bee in here.
Right.
And they're going for the flower. They're not taking the flower, just getting the pollen. They're bringing it back.
Right.
Meanwhile, this happens, and maybe some of the bees are like going to the Coca-Cola because they want the sugar. And we're like, well, that's what bees do.
Sure.
They're not like, these aren't murder bees. They're just like looking for Coca-Cola. And this obviously scares Iris. She's like, oh, this isn't supposed to be happening. The bees must have got out.
Right. What the heck?
And at some point during this,
so
we see that the queen is like larvaing or what, like we're growing the hive at this. That's the goal of this now is like we are going to expand.
Perfect. So slight redaction as well. So she's doing that like in, gosh, let's have it be, maybe we don't know as the audience yet. So both their cases are broken. That happened. We'll keep that. hive, the swarm doesn't go up. As John said, just 2 or 3 fly up, check the flower out, grab some Coca-Cola sugar, go back down. But Iris hears it and sees it. And yeah, so let's say, though, as that's all happening, the hive's also kind of hiding the queen somewhere safe that she can, like, larva in. So
yeah, and that's great. Maybe we don't see it yet, but there's like someone alludes to it, like, exactly. Oh my God, the queen could be like,
and what someone on the plane. Eventually, we got to figure this out in a minute. But like someone on the plane. So what happens is Iris goes down, sees what's happened, but doesn't see any of the bees. She's like, where did they go? Like, Professor, what's happening? And maybe Ray kind of, no, I've seen this when they're stressed, they'll find something new somewhere dark that's like a hive to hide, and immediately start building somewhere else safe, building a hive with whatever they can. So they came up for the Coca-Cola, came for the tulips. They're down here somewhere, probably somewhere dark, maybe somewhere slightly damp.
They're in the food elevator.
Okay, perfect. So we don't. All right, perfect. All right, okay. So they're in the. All right, okay, good. I love that. But that's perfect because maybe she goes down like a staircase or whatever, and what happens then for a good chunk of the movie is she's trying to move through it. Like, door opens up to the luggage compartment, and it's like 1,000 people's luggage. And Ray has basically just said, like, they could be hiding in any of these bags. Good luck. We need to, like, clearly something's wrong with them. Now, like, Iris is at the point where it's like, how did these bees get out of here? Professor, ever seen anything like this before? No. Something's wrong with them. We have contaminated bees on this flight with people. We need to turn this thing around. We need to land. And he's like, kind of like, no. You don't worry about that, Iris. I'll take care of all that. I'll talk to the pilot. You try to find the bees. And so Iris and Ray, who's coughing more now, are in the cargo bay digging around trying to find the hive, which isn't there. It's in the food elevator. We don't know that yet. But that's the next kind of little bit, is them hunting through everyone's luggage, opening up a thing here, finding the guy from New York's luggage that's just full of salami or whatever that he's illegally smuggling back to New York
One
City.
One human pancreas, some mortadella.
That's right. Sweet cheeses, a couple of heirloom tomatoes, and then but no bees. They keep hunting for the bees in the luggage, and they're not there. At this point, and maybe as they're doing this, at the same time now, like, parallel to them hunting in the cargo bay above, some people are waking up. Maybe when the bees came up, the married couple, like, freaked out and screamed when she saw it and tried to swat it away, woke some people up, whispers of, hey, there was a bee on me. Is there a bee on this flight? I'm allergic, ma'am. So, like, a little bit of, not panic yet, but just kind of like, hey, what's going on up here? Okay, good. John has some.
I don't have it yet, but I just, like, I think the catalyst moment that we're building up to
yes,
someone kills a bee. And that's what like now the hive is going to react. Of course,
or it's the Instagram
yeah, because we already dislike her.
Be her. Yep, because she's aloof. She's just recording reels for nobody or maybe she paid for Wi-Fi on the plane because she's a sucker, just so she can keep streaming or whatever. And I love that. Okay, so that hasn't happened yet, but you're right. That will change. That will be the catalyst to end the search for the bees in the cargo bay. Okay, so let's go back down there. So they're in the cargo bay looking. Nothing's happening. They can't find anything. It's some funny scenes happen with this guy's got a bunch of ladies' underwear.
This luggage is vibrating.
Yeah. I know that noise. It's under my bedside table. And then so that's all happening. No bees. Where could they be? Ray. And then we hear the Instagram influencers like scream from the cabin level as she sees the bee and kind of smacks it. And as that happens, like, Ray like passes out, like falls down in the luggage. And so two things happen at once. And Iris is like, oh my God, Ray. Oh my God, the screaming, the professor. Ray, wake up. So she's like, she's in a tough situation. Do I ditch Ray and a bunch of people's dirty laundry to go upstairs? I kind of have to. Because people could be getting stung. Like, I'm the only biologist on this plane, as far as I know, that could maybe help. And then while she's down there, she grabs her bag that has all the EpiPens in it, just in case. But, like, kind of leaves Ray passed out. He's still breathing, shallow. And she's like, oh, damn it, Ray. But she doesn't have time to really kind of assess the situation more than that. Has to run upstairs to get to the Instagram influencer who's screaming. And so this is to your idea, like, boom, she saw the bee, killed it. And what happens? The bees freak the fuck out and are like,
yeah, that's when
eliminate her.
The maybe not the doorway to the elevator. Maybe it doesn't like bust out like the rock just punched it. But
I think it could just be like making the noise, and again, a
starts
flight attendant,
shaking.
Not knowing what's going on is like, what is that? Let me check that out. And as she's doing that, Iris is like, no. Opens the door.
Perfect.
Bow.
And there are more bees coming out of this than we've seen in the whole length of the film so
Immediately
far.
obvious.
Like,
the
as
walls
the bees are flying
bees.
out, we get a peek inside, and it's just like it's a huge hive in there. It's a bee factory, and they just beelining for that Instagram influencer.
Yes.
As soon as we leave, the cameras are looking inside the food elevator at this newfound bee marvel, and the camera's just going to take like a slow pan across the panicking airplane.
Yes.
And then when we get to the Instagram influencer, it's like a scene from the Candyman. Like, she is just swarmed
covered
in bees,
100%.
Convulsing.
Yep.
The bees are she's
stung
probably already dead.
Times, right, into almost nothingness. So sting her to death, literally to death. And then like seconds later, just as quickly as they showed up, fly off her, kind of almost disappear, like so quick to where they go next we don't know yet. And she's just laying there covered in sting marks and petrified, kind of looking like an idiot. Dead. Love this is amazing. And so Iris is like, oh my god, like, we need to get this plane down. Where's the professor? She's trying to find him. She can't. Now she got to go back down to Ray because he's still passed out. Things have gotten worse there now. So she goes down there and just grabs one of her EpiPens, stabs him in the leg, and is like, oh, this is all I got as an idea. Maybe it'll work. And he kind of comes to, and is like, oh god, sweating bullets, of course. What happened? She gives him the quick breakdown. And so now she's got at least someone to help. I can't find the professor. This woman just died. The bees went right for her. I don't know what happened.
And then Ray knows, like he doesn't know, but he's like this happens in this type of situation with bees as a defense mechanism. It's odd that it happened. I don't study them on a plane, but like what you're talking about is pretty natural for bees to respond that way. And she's like, no, you don't understand.
Right. And or maybe she's right. He thinks what has happened is a natural response. Because he's heard similar things to it, but then when he gets up and sees her, he's like, "Oh God, no! This I've never seen something like this. Like these bees have stung multiple times. Like a killer bee would never do that. Like it would be one time and they would leave because
these aren't wasps,
right? Exactly, right. It's like somehow they're stinging her multiple times from the same bee. Somehow he knows that, and he's like, my God. And he kind of has a light bulb moment go off in his head, and he kind of takes a step back, and Iris is like, what do you, and he's like, no, it couldn't be. So you're kind of led to believe that like maybe Ray has seen something in the past that he shouldn't have seen, maybe in one of Professor Harrison's special one-on-one sessions. Not that guy.
I needed the extra credit.
Right, where he maybe mentioned that one of the advantages of a genetically engineered bee a killer bee would be to have multiple stingers so that it could not die and continue to pollinate and things like that after a sting, so they live longer. That's so again, on paper,
it stings and injects. It doesn't leave the stinger behind.
The stinger, sure. So that was something that Ray remembered the professor mentioning would be hypothetically a good thing. So now Ray is kind of like, oh God, the professor knows more than he's let on. He like, what else has he built these bees into not just bees that'll be great pollinators, but bees that we won't be able to stop or control, and the population will run out of control because they're not dying at the rate bees usually die at. Like these things, it is in an instant. He's kind of like, this is the end times. If we take this many bees to California and let them out in a wildflower field in less than 6 months,
the way they're reproducing,
they'll block out the sun. Like
I want to. They know the way to kill us.
Right.
The buildup of Professor Harrison.
We're not there yet.
Is like he's a bee scientist, but he also, you start to learn that he kind of like worships the bee. Like they're God's perfect creature. They're the smartest creature alive. They're even smarter than humans. They're fit to inherit the earth.
They just need a little help since we've ruined the planet for them. It's our duty to. This is his end of the movie speech.
Yes,
but of like it's our duty to help them evolve so they can live with us since we've done such a poor job with their this is their world. The bees have been around for 5 million years. The bee will inherit the earth. I love that. So okay, we'll get there. We'll get to his ridiculous speech as he dies from a million bee stings, but or however he dies. But okay, so right now though, zooming back to where we are in the movie, we've got a dead Instagram influencer. We've got Iris is freaking out. Ray's kind of now suspicious a little bit of what they've done and what they brought back, what they're bringing back rather, to the United States. Professor Harrison's nowhere to be found, and like maybe they're looking around for him and see him, and like as a last ditch effort, see like a laboratory that's been locked for a while. And Iris grabs the stewardess and is like, "Do you know who went in here? And like, how long have been in there? Oh, I thought it was your professor. Last I saw. Oh my God, banging on the door. Are you in there? In there?" Ray rips it open and he's like, he's in there just like, "Oh, sorry, I was trying to make a call, but it just wouldn't work." Some bullshit story that he gives them, and they're like, "Well, things have happened. Like someone's died. These bees are not okay. Are we turning around? Have we talked to the pilot? Like what's going on?" And once again, he's kind of like, "Just sit down, Iris. Tell me everything, but just take a seat. Everything's going to be okay." And then maybe at this point,
he wants these bees to get back
100%. So like his motivation is like maybe he's got money in the company, or he's like vanity. He wants
crazy
to be known as
bees.
like, I made the perfect bee. I'm going to save. He got some God complex. Maybe he sees himself as like a savior of the world. Probably a mixture of money and God complex that usually goes pretty
50-50. Yeah.
for
the more of one you get, the more of the other.
Right. For crazy people, that's kind of part of the equation. Certainly Machiavellian narcissists. So, but yeah, so they have to. So as she's like freaking out, maybe like the fasten seatbelt sign comes on, and the pilot's like, or actually, so what would have to happen? Here we go. I got it. Okay, so this woman just died. So that does materially change everything. Stewardess tells the pilot's like, we have to land. We have to make an emergency landing. The doctor's like, and Professor Harrison is like, you don't understand. Like, we need these bees to get to California. Like, and he's like, Professor, your bees are killing my
We've got a dead body.
Like, what are you talking about? Kind of overrides him, frustrates Professor Harrison. Where are we then? We're over Kansas. We're gonna land in a cornfield, right outside a cornfield, right outside of some city in Kansas.
Wichita.
There we go.
That's the only one I can think of right now.
Perfect.
There's another one with a kind of cool name.
Olathe, something like that. But anyway, Wichita's good. We're outside Wichita, so
way outside of Wichita. We're outside,
but
of
tons
Wichita.
of corn. I think a plant that needs pollinators to exist.
All of them do. Iris is like, oh, corn? Are you kidding me?
Right, exactly. So like now this is a nightmare scenario. She was worried about this small little wildflower field. Now these bees are going to be at like the Golden Corral for bees. They're going to get on this plane and be like eating and banging and making a million zillion bees. And so now she starts freaking out and she's like, you don't understand. You can't land here. Like, this is like throwing gasoline on a fire. Like, we're going to kill the whole planet. And the pilot's like, it's just a bunch of bees. Like, we'll have a team ready on the tarmac. They'll be able to take care of all this. Like, we've seen it all before. Seen crazy stuff. I've been flying for 40 years. Whatever. He just tries to dismiss it all. Even the flight attendants are like, I think you should listen to them. There's a little bit of a back and forth, whatever. But they're landed in Kansas. It's surrounded by corn. And like she sees it out the window as they're getting closer. And she's, oh my God, what do we do? Where are the bees? They've all disappeared again. But they land and like they can't. Maybe they don't do anything crazier than that. They really can't. They're not going to try to hijack the plane. They could. Should they try to hijack the plane, John?
I think Professor Harrison might be the only one with motivation to hijack the plane, but he's not going to get support
And he
from
can't do it
Iris
with
or
one
Ray.
person. Right. Good call. Good
so
call.
I don't think
can't happen.
I mean, there's maybe an air marshal on board.
Oh,
There doesn't have to be, but we could write one in. But
Yeah.
I don't see the need to right now.
Probably not, but that's a good call. Maybe. But so let's just say that lands. Like they're kind of out of their control. They're just like, oh my god, what do we do? Who do
I'm
we
bringing this
call?
thing down.
Right, like, we gotta land. But it's protocol. I'll have my license. Like we got a dead person on board. There could be more. There are bees everywhere. Who else is allergic? We got 12 people allergic.
We gotta get these people off the plane.
Exactly right. We
There's
need ambulance.
Gonna be
we need
what is it? Food
hazmat.
and wildlife or
Yeah, somewhat,
some
right. Right. We contacted
BTF.
a local aviary. What do they call their bees?
aviary.
Yeah, we contacted one of them. They're gonna come in, smoke the whole plane down. Don't worry about it. Like all your bees will be fast asleep before we even open the door. And they're like, all right, fine. Maybe they make it stink enough to like get them to do that. Like at least get a local aviary to come and smoke the cargo payout before you let anybody off this plane. They could be hiding.
We
in
can't have the
someone's
bees
wig.
leave this plane.
They could be hiding under somebody's lapel. Like if a single of these bees are the smartest bees ever known to man, if more than 2 of them get out of here, you'll have 10,000 by next week. A million by
that's
next
like
month.
a good like it
Right.
it moves to like from a medium to a full close up
Right,
on like
right,
on
right.
Ray and Iris both trying to convince this pilot both trying to convince this pilot like it is imperative. Dead body, there's going to be a lot more of them
Yes.
if you don't listen to
That's
me.
right.
And please make sure that someone from National Parks,
Right.
Wildlife Game Administration, the president, I don't care
Okay.
who you have to call.
Right. Someone's
There
gonna
has
smoke
to
this
be
plane
someone
down.
ready to to help these bees when we
I
land.
love that. And so he's like, fine. I called him. You happy? So that's the plan. So they kind of feel okay about landing because someone's going to come on and smoke the whole cargo bay out. So that's what happens. They land. Everyone sits in their seat. Hazmat looking team comes on with all the
Actually,
bee
most of the
suits.
people stand up right away.
Right, sure, as they always do. They can't fucking move. And they say, I said, sit down. Why do you people always do this? You're going to walk through somebody? And so we see that. They go into the cargo bay. They got their little smoke guns, hose it all down. And then maybe we do see like bees just start dropping onto the ground all over the place. And like one of the scientists is like, my God, there's thousands of bees in this plane. Like, how did this happen? Where did they come from? I was told there was a couple, like just 100 they were transporting. How are there so many? They're just talking to each other, but to give us as the audience a little more color into how unusual this all is. And so the bees all kind of pass out. And so Iris gets down there with the professor and Ray, and they're like, to confirm that it looks okay to deboard the plane. And they're like, all right, yep, I'll stay down here. And so they open the door, people start getting out, and like as that starts happening, like the bees start kind of twitching, waking up, and they're like, this shouldn't happen. They should be out for an hour at least. Like, what's going on? Like, turn those machines back on. And they're like, one of them doesn't work, one of them's working, but like not very well. There's not enough smoke.
We're not equipped to smoke
Exactly
out a
right.
whole
Exactly
747.
right. This isn't enough. We don't have enough power. We don't have enough juice. And so they
New York man lights up a cigarette. I know.
I'll help.
This
I got
out.
you guys. I'll do a pack a day. I'll do a pack right now. I love that. And then so people are like trying to walk off carefully, and then the bees swarm and fly past them. Everyone freaks out, runs out, someone gets trampled. There's, a woman in a wheelchair that gets pushed off the gangway. Stuff happens. It gets a little crazy as these bees like rip out of the plane and escape like essentially into the night. Oh man, shit. We've just given ourselves a nice puzzle here, but I have some ideas. But like into corn country, into like again, the Golden Corral for bees is Kansas. Like they're there, they've landed, they have all they need to become superhuman bee things. So they're gonna start doing that, but they have to kind of have a plan to get them back. Something to do next. Like they're not gonna give up, obviously, and be like, well, that's it. Super bees are out. We're all dead in a month, because they'll block out the sun, eat all our food instead of just create more of it. Maybe they don't even pollinate. Maybe that's another thing too. Like they as they land, she gets the call from the lab in
Yes.
Holland with a
Yes.
bunch more information. I forgot about this. I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And it's about like it's a bit of information about Ray, but it's also about like, also like the bees you left here that you tested on the fungus, like things have happened to them, like they're no longer pollinating. We put them in, in a case full of flowers and they just ate them all down to the stem.
Yeah, even the bees that were unexposed seemed to be
right. If they were just near the bees that were exposed to the fungus, like they followed suit. It was almost like they were controlled by the bees who did have that fungus that were exposed to it. So like they're super bees now. They don't pollinate. They just consume. They're like locust. So yeah. So that's what's happening. So you got that. So that's the sweet message Iris gets when she gets off the plane. It's worse than I even imagined. But maybe. So here's like all right, we got to workshop this a little bit. Basically, what I'm at the base level, what I'm kind of imagining is some sort of trap for them all. Either like they have to, if they find the queen, maybe they can lure them all back and they kill them with fire, or like maybe this is kind of crazier. Like maybe at this point, Ray is starting to like develop antibodies to like whatever the poison that he got stung with is, and that's showing up in his blood, and she can like go to a local lab and concoct some aerosol thing she can spray over the field. But that's not going to get enough of them, I don't think, the aerosol antibody spray approach. I think it has to be some kind of trap, lure them in scenario, but I don't know how we're going to do that yet.
So, I mean, when they land, right,
Yeah.
and all the bees get out, and we get the news about this is end times.
Yes.
Initially, it's kind of a cop out, but initially, I just wanted like a zoom out from Kansas to U.S. to the Earth, and you just see
We're dead.
Lights turning off,
right?
Like
just
the world going dark,
right?
That's kind of a cop out, but effectively, these bees getting out aren't just like, oh, some people are going to die. Like this is going to change humanity. And so I kind of like the idea that that's happening. We like Iris is like, look, by my calculations, the bees multiply by a factor of 12 just in the short time in the food elevator.
Yep.
Now they have access to all this corn and they're not restrained by a food elevator.
Exactly.
We can expect that there's going to be like 6.8 billion bees created in the next 24 hours.
Yes.
There's no way we can combat that.
Okay.
So they're at this little Kansas airport. And the bee company and the guy's like, look, my cousin flies crop duster. He could get you to your lab in California. I'll call him up. So they get this like little private dinky jet.
Yep.
And the three of them, maybe, I don't know what we're gonna do with Professor Harrison, but Iris needs to get to her lab. The antibodies that Ray's building are. She thinks that's gonna be the key. She's like, I got a coworker. If we can get a hold of him, he did this sort of. He worked for. Who were the people that came up with the COVID vaccine?
Sure.
He works on that. So they're going. The world is ending. They get this little Kansas crop duster guy, flies them to the lab, and then
hold on. I have. Well, go ahead. I have an idea.
Okay, no.
I have an idea. So adding right onto this. So I think what Iris realizes. She puts Ray's blood and the antibodies under a microscope, and she's like, my God, that almost looks like it couldn't be, could it? And she pulls some slides out from her desk, and she's looking at stuff she's looked at in the past. And she holds it up, and an old slide with something else she's observed in her work, and the slide with Ray's blood on it and the antibodies, and puts them both under the microscope, and they look the same. We don't know what the thing is yet. But she's like, oh my God, that's it. This is it. This is how we do it. And so... maybe this is okay. We need to close the story with Professor Harrison. He's a bad guy. Something needs to happen to him. Maybe it's just jail. I like the idea of him being covered in a million bees and he just dies. But I think
he would love that too.
He would love that too. And so what happens is she discovers that the antibodies that Ray is producing, we're going to do some movie science now, everybody. Basically, are the same, or she could easily insert them into wildflower seeds, cells. And so her plan,
these are plant-based.
Exactly right. Her plan to kill all the bees is to cover the world, almost certainly the country, with crop dusters, planes, helicopters, whatever. Just create as fast as she can through movie science all these genetically engineered seeds that have this antibody in it, so that when the bees go and eat them, they die. And the way that she kills them all is by covering the country in enough wildflowers, which I know they take time to grow, but so there's 3 months there where everyone's running for their lives.
Yeah, I mean, like I think
Maybe
effectively
Maybe it has
we
to be
see
bad.
Kansas pilot man, Hank,
Okay.
flying them back to California as we see the world effectively burning.
Okay.
With these bees.
Okay.
Holland's like texting her, and he's like, it's too late for us. Like
Right,
the
we're all
whole
dead.
there's not many of us even left, right?
Right,
Like
there never were.
people are sheltering.
12 people in all.
They're working on the cure. We do the slide. We see his plant. She's like, I know how to synthesize this into what's it called that you make plants grow? Fertilizer. So and she's like, I can do this in the school's laboratory. She builds a quick little test batch.
Right.
And who they got? Hank the crop duster.
Right.
And he's like, we can pilot this here. So they take it up, they throw it over like a California almond field.
Right.
And at this point, like, we're not saving the world. We're just like almost like trying to replant the world.
Yeah, replant the world. There we go.
So, we test this out. Time goes by. It's been like maybe a month now. There's like little pockets of resistance left alive, but most people are dead. It's almost like if the movie ended here, humanity failed. But then we get a spark. Hank tries it. We've given up hope. Ray's already maybe died. I don't know, but I still don't know what to do with Professor Harrison.
I have him. I got him.
We throw it up on the almond field, and it doesn't look like anything happened. Like the almonds are still growing, and then like some time goes by, maybe a week or something. And Iris says, like, she's like, the fields are full of dead bees. It's working. We just need to keep creating this. So now we've got a cure for the problem.
We've got a plan. Exactly. We've got a plan. It just takes time. We see how we're going to take the world back. And I think as this is going on, so maybe there's a scene we can do a quick rewind at like the airport when they land off the plane, where Ray and Iris confront Dr. Harrison. They're like, you knew about this. Like, you knew they were going to do this, didn't you? And Ray's like, you told me about this years ago as a hypothetical, but you said you did papers on it. You said someone was working on something like it, but then you stopped talking about it. This was that lab, wasn't it? Like, we were just at that lab, was building these,
it was real.
These bees that were going to just eat everything and not pollinate at all. They were a failure. Like, you tricked them into thinking you'd figured it out, but you had just made basically a locust that was 10 times as fast and could eat twice as fast and procreate 10 times as fast and whatever. Like, you've doomed us all. And they just ditch him. They leave him there. He's kind of up to his own devices. And so like so the world looks sunny and shiny again, and with this lovely, image of Iris in a field of wildflowers where the movie began, but now they're bigger and stronger and going to save the planet. And she was right. She was exactly where she should have been her whole life, chose the perfect path for her, and ended up saving the world with the help of Ray. And then we cut to kind of like a disheveled, almost hobo-looking Dr. Harrison, who's just sitting on a hilltop, maybe near one of these wildflower fields in Kansas, maybe, or some other state we don't know, not near Iris or Ray, as people are kind of coming out of their homes and applauding, and there are fireworks going on, people honking their horns as these bees kind of die, and he's sitting in like maybe the woods next to a field with a harmonica, just going and humming in the harmonica, and you see like 2 or 3 bees fly up out of the field and land on his hand, and then dark.
Ooh, love it.
So he knew the fucking whatever secret massive fucking snake charmer spell to get some of them away from the wildflowers, and he'll do who the fuck knows what with them. But he's still out there in this new world that Iris has built.
Yes, maybe he's got like a can of Coca-Cola. It's like
hiding
some of the bees in there.
They fly in. That was my fail-safe. They love Coca-Cola products. This whole movie is sponsored by Coca-Cola. Oh my God. Whew. All right.
That was fun. That was fun. Definitely, there's room to work
I
on
love
that
it.
as there are in
Sure.
all of our films, but I think we did a pretty good job of taking Melvin Brewery's Killer Bees and
Yes.
turning it into a sort of end-of-the-world type
Sharks
film.
on a plane.
Exactly. With a lovable female scientist and a affable Matthew
Yeah.
McConaughey. And
Yeah.
I think if we could get Dan Aykroyd to play Professor Harrison, that would be perfect.
Perfect. Maybe Jessica Chastain could be Iris.
Love it. Absolutely
her.
love it.
And she can save the world again.
Yeah.
That was a blast. That was I'm so glad we did we chose Killer Bees.
Killer Bees, a good mixture of not banana whale, but also it's kind of it's meant to be like fun. Keep you paced, maybe sitting on the edge of your seat for the film. Not too serious, not too scary.
That's it. I had a blast. It definitely had Deep Blue Sea and Lake Placid and all those fun movie vibes for me, which I love. I love those movies. So I'm glad we did one, John.
And the theme of Killer Bee is tune in next Wednesday when we drop the next Fast Five to find out for yourself.
That's right. Until then, peace, punch, and
Give me your lunch.